Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Diamonds Rough podcast. I'm joined with Ian. Say what's up.
What an what an intro.
Yeah, no, man, this uh um I haven't talked like NFL in a long time. Life's been crazy, but
Yeah.
we're here in the playoffs. Believe it or not, it's been a wild season. I feel like I was pretty on point with a lot of my thoughts, but there's some that came out of nowhere, like Houston. Um, Teams like that, but
Coming out of the
we're
gutter, the Houston Texans.
coming out of the gutter because we'll get to them. We'll get to them. I'm doing
Okay.
this in order of games I'm least interested in to most interested in.
I'm sure our lists are pretty similar.
Yeah. So also the reason Ian's here is because he actually does have a dog in here. He has a team to support in here. Whereas I'm like, honorary Lions fan, but not actually. It doesn't count. My team sucked.
We don't
Uh
gotta talk about them
We
though.
don't. This isn't about me, you know. Um, so we'll start with the first game to me. Bills Steelers. This is not it's Sunday at 1. There's a reason it's Sunday at 1. It's not prime time or anything like that.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna have to agree there.
why is it not interesting? Well, Mason Rudolph is one of the quarterbacks.
You know what? He came out December 23rd, saved the Steelers season maybe.
Yeah, I guess he did.
Um, but I mean, going into Buffalo, it's gonna be cold. It's just not really the first quarterback you want to see
I don't know if
playing in the playoffs.
I don't know if I'm so worried about the weather for them. Like Pittsburgh gets cold too. I think it's just I don't think Mason Rudolph's but I'd love to be surprised. My big thing is TJ Watt is out. And I think we've seen the record of the Steelers with TJ Watt and without him. He does
Yeah.
more than even the stats just say. Like when a defensive player is winning like the record, your win-loss record with and without a defensive player is substantial. There's not a most valuable player for a defensive guy. There's
There's got to
defensive
be
player of the
almost
year,
cause
but
for concern because I feel like usually when the records are so different, it's because, your starting quarterback is out or your best wide receiver or like a couple key O linemen or something.
not
And
your
I think a lot of
defensive
it
end.
draws from how long Matt Canada had a job there uh, for the season too. I think he stayed there way too long, just holding that offense back. Not that the offense is really anything to scream about, but point being, with TJ Watt being as as monstrous as he is, obviously would go to any team and probably lead the league in sacks and pressures and all that there. But it's so reliant for him to be on the field rather than a very good skill position. You got to think like Steelers fans, players, like they're all pretty worried right about now because not like the Steelers, even if TJ Watt was there, would probably go very far in the playoffs. I don't even know if they would beat the Bills if TJ Watt was playing. But it's an eyebrow raiser. I think something maybe you have to look into in the offseason and stuff like that.
For sure. It's also the type of thing where, Highsmith's their other edge guy, and he does pretty well, but it's
Mhm.
like TJ Watt's on the other side. You're not the focus. Now he's going to be the
Yeah,
focus, right? And also, I think it's always important to look at what teams are hot heading into the playoffs,
yeah.
and the Bills are, even though some of these wins have been a little ugly. Um, you know, they put together some wins after that Pats loss. They
And
kind
that's why,
of
like,
figured some
I think
stuff out.
going into this playoffs and this season as a whole has just been so crazy because the Bills, obviously like a month and a half ago, they were not even in the playoff picture. They weren't even in the hunt. They were, 6-6. They were on the outside, very much looking in. And I feel like a lot of teams, um, not as serious and as worrisome as Bills fans had it, sort of had those clunky sort of missteps, like the Browns and the Steelers, obviously the Packers, who somehow snuck into the seventh seed. It's just
Yeah.
and like the matchups that are coming and could happen in later rounds is definitely crazy. But I think going back to your point, the Bills had definitely caught fire at the right time, and I think that could be said for a lot of teams. More so catching fire at the right time, and also like coming back from that adversity of dropping some games you shouldn't have, and just you really there isn't really a team in the playoffs, I think, with the exception of maybe the Ravens, that are like pinpoint, like probably going to win it all. And I think it's going to be very exciting to watch.
That's kind of the cool thing about these playoffs is I feel like there's a lot of teams you didn't expect. There's a lot of QBs you definitely didn't expect to be in
Mm-hmm.
here. And there's really not any like favorites. I'd say the Ravens in the AFC are the biggest favorite because the Niners are obviously the favorite in the NFC, but they have the in the playoffs I always look at QBs because that's the
Yeah.
most impactful position and it's like who has a guy that I believe could be in a Super Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brock Purdy, I feel like now he's been talked about so much this year, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't know if he's it. I still don't know. I think the Ravens game was pretty eye-opening, how they just destroyed him.
Mm-hmm.
He had like 5 picks, right? Um,
Yeah.
a lot of it's who he has around him. And honestly, I hate to like pin down a quarterback because that's also just football. Like you have to build a good team around the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll obviously probably get to that more when we talk NFC and just bigger picture. But I don't have too much to talk about this. I'm pretty sure the Bills are going to have a comfortable like 2-score win, to be
I
honest
think
with you.
Steelers are probably going to Orchard Park and leave with like a 3-score deficit, maybe. Um, Barring some more Josh Allen fuck around and find out type stuff. Because that's almost cost him a lot of games too. We saw it these last 3 weeks of the season where he just played careless ball, and the Bills won all three of them, obviously. But if you take that into the playoffs, anything can happen.
Here's something I do think I should look up. I'm going to look up real quick. So is this game Saturday or Sunday?
This
It's
game is Sunday.
Sunday. It's going to be 24 and windy in Buffalo. That's very
Windy,
negative
windy is not what you like to
for
hear,
for
especially when you're
Buffalo.
Josh Allen and you're
And
heaving
it's gonna have
balls downfield
snowed
when you're
the
getting
day
pressured instead
before.
of throwing it out of bounds.
Yeah, it's gonna snow the day before. So the weather might play a big factor because even though it's like, oh, Buffalo's cold, they're used to it. We've seen Josh Allen have really bad games in the cold,
Yeah.
you
And if
know?
it's supposed to be like snowy and cold the day before, and then you go onto the field and it's all like rock solid ground, and you're not really moving around very well. Because I'm convinced Josh Allen is just so inhumanly reckless. He's got to hurt himself at some point. I
Dude,
wouldn't wish that upon anybody. I don't wish that upon Josh Allen, but whenever he just ducks his head and just rumbles through like he's a fullback,
the
you gotta think
Josh
one of those
Allen,
times someone's gonna fall on his leg, or he's gonna like, I don't know, tweak his neck or something. It's just
yeah. Not even the injury front, just the Josh Allen loses you the game is definitely possibility, right? With those conditions, and he's been pick heavy
yeah.
this year more than ever. Um, so maybe Pittsburgh pull it out. I wouldn't pick it.
We
I,
just talked ourselves into picking Pittsburgh.
I'm not picking it. I don't care what the spread is.
You
I'm
know
not
what? I'm
picking
gonna
it.
ride with Mason Rudolph.
No, that's not what I said. I'm just saying. So far the weather is a win towards Pittsburgh,
Yes.
but Buffalo's gonna win. All right.
It's not really. I wouldn't really call it a win towards any side. I think depending on how the ground is, how the wind is, all of that. I think it could turn into a very messy game that could ultimately end up being a toss-up, last second field goal, or
But that
game
benefits Pittsburgh,
winning
I'm
interception or
saying.
something like that.
I'm saying that benefits Pittsburgh for it to be a messy, like who this is terrible to
With
play
Josh
in.
Allen's play style, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the next game I really don't want to watch, and this is because these two teams have been playing horrendous.
Let me guess. Let me guess what it is.
Yeah.
Your second to last matchup is Bucks Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also a Monday night, which like I just hate the Monday night
You don't
games.
want to end the wild card round on that game.
Yeah,
Like
no.
there, obviously, it's probably going to be pretty one-sided, but you got to end it on Cowboys Packers. You have to.
Yeah, that game I'm actually kind of looking forward
Probably, I
to.
mean, solely because of probably solely because of what happened. Like what happened the last time those guys played in the playoffs. Whoever's announcing that game is going to milk the shit out of it.
What, which game?
The
The
Cowboys Packers, the Des
Oh yeah,
milk
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Um,
true. Oh man, I
yeah,
forgot
I
about that.
mean, this this late season just absolute collapse of Philadelphia, I think needs to be studied. What
It's
happened?
unbelievable. It's truly unbelievable. And like it's kind of funny. They're
10
gonna
and 1 in your first 11 games. The one seed is locked. You are like I mean, I think the 49ers had dropped, they'd lost three in a row, obviously. So they were sitting at what, 8-3 at that point.
yeah.
You have it locked up. Very favorable rest of your schedule. You finish with Giants, Cardinals, Giants. What do you how does that happen? You finished one and what was it, 1-5? And now you're 11-6. You don't even have a home playoff game.
Yeah. Two things to that. Very quick note. They're not in the playoffs, but Cardinals kind of had an unbelievable year.
Yeah,
When you think about it, like they beat
I've seen a lot of this thrown around just because it's a pretty, stereotypical like bad team turns good at the end of the season thing. But I like they're pretty similar to what the Lions were last year
yeah, well, it's like
and
they
what they're
beat
doing.
the Cowboys, they beat the Eagles. I think you kind of figured out, like, yeah, we can kind of trust Kyler if we just kind of build a team around him. I think you're feeling pretty good about the new coach they got. That's a quick thing. And then with the Eagles, I kind of want to flash back to week one just
Okay.
because the Patriots like almost beat them. And like I was
They
like,
did.
yo, this is actually like, intriguing. It's like, yo, maybe Max good. And then that just wasn't true. It's just the Eagles suck, apparently.
Yeah.
And that should
Well,
have been
I'm sure the
foreshadowing.
loss to the Cardinals like hurt even more because Gannon obviously came from
Oh yeah.
Philadelphia. So now the whole questioning is like Nick Sirianni as a staff like maker or whatever, like his ability to compose a staff and like call plays and just be like cohesive as a play
Yeah.
caller and all that. But I don't even know who to point fingers at. It's just such a their defense has been bad all season. Jalen Hurts just hasn't looked. It's because he started like sumo squatting to snap balls. I bet. What is that? Takes him too long to get back up.
Yeah, do you think in practice they just they like just do the tush push like the whole time and that's it?
Maybe they just practice it over and over again. Coach, think I can hand it off to Swift a couple times? No,
We have
get back on the
AJ Brown,
line.
Devontae Smith. Why are we like, no, tush push? It's not good enough.
Well, now Brown is done too.
Yeah, that's like,
Pulled something in his leg, and now he's out for the playoffs. So I don't know.
do they say
They
officially
can
like
probably
out?
they can probably squeak by the Bucks in Tampa, and then I mean whoever they play next, you got to think they're going to go up and play 49ers.
Did they say officially done? Uh, like Brown's officially done. He's not playing.
I don't remember what the hold on. I don't remember what his injury was, but I'm pretty sure it was.
While
Did
you
he get
pull
carted
that
off?
up, I'm all for if the Eagles have to go to San Francisco to get smacked because that to me just seems like due diligence.
Yeah,
Right, because I remember when San Fran had to go to Philly, it was like, yo, this isn't looking good. And then the whole quarterback thing, which kind of sucked because it felt like they didn't get like a fair shot at it. But I feel like
yeah,
Philly held on to that for so long and still do kind of to this day. So
yeah.
his
Like
Philly
that
fan
win.
base is terrible. And I'm not saying my fan base is good, the
Let's
Boston
see.
one, but so them having to go to San Francisco to just get destroyed, it just seems right. It seems like the universe is aligned for that to happen.
4 hours ago, no updates on Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. 2 hours ago, Nick Sirianni said he's optimistic that Jalen Hurts will play.
Oh, all right. Well, that's
Didn't even know
good.
he was questionable.
That's good, I guess. I
But
mean,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe I blew that out of proportion. But
no, I know he was hurt. Regardless, if he's playing hurt, that's not what you want.
yeah,
You
no,
know, and
no, of
and
course not.
yeah, that'd be kind of wild if, Mariota starts with Quez Watkins and Julio Jones and
50-year-old Julio Jones.
like that's what it would be though. Like
I would love to see because I've always been so high on Baker. I would love for
yeah,
him to
you
just go
have.
out and throw like a what week was that? Like 14 or 15, just absolute masterclass.
Um this is the rematch of the chip, because for those who listen, Nate, when the Bucks and Eagles played earlier in the year, was convinced that the Buccaneers were going to win. That didn't happen. The Eagles absolutely destroyed them.
That
So
was a scoregami, right? That was 25-11.
yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't see the Bucks pulling it out though, because Baker, I think something's up with his shoulder, and they haven't even been playing good. Like they almost lost to the Panthers, which we
They
can
weren't like no, they wouldn't
legitimately
have.
say is not good at all if
Yeah.
you almost lose
I
to the
mean,
Panthers.
I don't even want to touch Carolina with a 10-foot pole. I can't even imagine what their fans are going through right now. That is
Yeah,
just
you're up there for worst trades in history of sports.
yeah.
For it to be you give up a true number one receiver, you give up, the ninth pick, which ends up being Jalen Carter. You don't take
The
CJ
Bears
Stroud.
traded that pick to the Eagles.
Yep.
Okay,
I think it was Jalen Carter. I could be wrong. But
probably. I know he was top 10.
but then you don't take CJ Stroud. You take Bryce Young.
Take Bryce Young.
And now the number one overall pick goes to the Bears, not you.
The Bears.
And you put so much
Do
into
you
Bryce
think?
Young, this coach, and it's all just
Do you think this 2-15 record that they finished with? Who was their second win?
um
Was it the Falcons?
I think it was the Falcons.
Might have been
Yeah,
the Falcons.
it was the
Do you think
Falcons.
this 2-15 record? Do you think that is Bryce Young's fault?
No, absolutely not. He got dealt a horrendous hand. I'm not gonna like I will say though, I think if CJ Stroud was the QB for the Panthers, they win maybe like 5 games. Just
Maybe.
because we'll get to him, but when I watch his games, it's not like his O line's elite. I don't think his weapons are elite. He kind of creates a lot of stuff. Like he creates more time. He's making really extremely difficult throws, a lot of throws on the run, a lot of throws where he's on his back foot. Like so I
This
think
is CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
So I think as bad as like the offensive line is for Carolina, he would have been able to muster some games. And also like, I think he scores more than 9 last week, for instance.
Yeah.
I think he pulls out that package. Look, we can point to so many things, right? He beats the Bears that Thursday night game. That was a god awful
Yeah.
game. Um, but no, I'm not gonna write off Bryce Young yet. His O line is terrible. The whole
Mhm.
thing's a mess, right? Earliest coach to be fired like in his first year. And it's not even like he had great weapons.
Yeah.
So I'm not faulting him, but
I
I
was yeah, I
didn't
mean
like him.
I don't want to stay on the Panthers too long, but I was pretty optimistic about Adam Thielen going there, being the true wide receiver one. I thought him and Bryce Young would make some, pretty good chemistry there, and they did for a little bit. Um,
Mhm.
but then it didn't really last very long. And then Frank Reich got fired, and
Yeah,
all that sort of went out the window. Hayden Hurst, very scary injury, obviously. It all just kind of fell through the cracks in the worst ways possible. And you really just where do you go? You got to hire a new head coach, you got to hire a new GM. Because what's his name? Uh, the guy who threw the drink on the Jacks fan. Um, David Tepper, I think it is. He just
yeah,
got fired. So I mean, it's
yeah, it sounds
completely
about
clean
right.
house. You don't even own a first round draft. You don't even own a first round pick. Um,
Yeah, it's tough out here. Tough being a Carolina fan, like
it
North
is.
Carolina. Like you got Charlotte Hornets. You got Are the Hurricanes good? I don't know.
I have no idea. I don't really watch
I don't
hockey
really watch
anymore.
hockey. The Panthers. That's like a 10-year. No, I think in 5 years you could maybe get above 500.
In 5 years. Yeah, no, they're just the Texans of the NFC now.
Yeah,
It's just
it's their turn. It's their turn.
it's
And
Carolina's turn to sit down there for a good 4 or 5 years.
and that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah,
Enough about them on this game. I think the Eagles will win, and whoever wins is going to get smacked in the next round. So I
in
don't
the next
care
round
that
by
much.
unless the who is the 6th seed in the NFC?
Rams.
Rams. Unless the Rams, that is a that's going to be a great game.
Yes. You can probably
Um,
guess where I
so
have that one.
unless the Rams, I wouldn't even call it a surprise, I guess, or shock or whatever. Like I think whoever the winner of the 4-5 Eagles Bucks will definitely go to San Francisco and
Get smacked.
die.
Yeah, yeah,
Prince and Connor.
yeah. Oh man. All right, I'll let you guess the next game that I
My
have.
guess is gonna be. Let me go process of elimination here. Not Dolphins Chiefs. Um, not Lions Rams. I am gonna guess that brings it down to two, right?
Yeah. It's Browns
Uh,
Texans or Packers Cowboys.
I am gonna guess Browns Texans.
I actually have Packers Cowboys because I
You
do
have
think
Packers
I do think the
Cowboys.
Packers are going to get smacked. I really do. But
Yeah.
I think it'll be fun for a bit. Like I could see it like Cowboys defer and Jordan Love just
Well, the thing about the
runs
Packers, I
down,
think,
gets a
and maybe it's
tutty.
just because I haven't. Maybe it's just because I haven't watched them enough this year. But it's like, what about their team like carried them into the playoffs and stuck them into the 7th seed? Was it Jordan Love? I don't think so. Was it their
It
defense? Like was it? It definitely wasn't Aaron Jones or AJ Dillon or anybody. Like their wide receiver room is not good. So it's like, what are they doing right? And I don't know
I think they're just doing enough, to be completely honest with you. That's how I would put it. I think they're just doing enough. I think Jordan Love did like improve. I think he definitely earned another year. He didn't earn like, to get the bag, but he earned like, we'll give you one more year. We're not
put
gonna
the
draft
tag on or
anyone.
something.
Yeah, we're gonna build around this, see what you got, right? Because he'll make some great throws, and I'll be like, oh,
Draft a wide
that's not
receiver
good.
maybe that can actually stay on the field.
Yep, might help him. Might help him.
Um,
But yeah, I
oh,
mean, you look at this some of the stuff, and it's like they lost to Raiders and Broncos, but that's also like, they beat the Rams and they beat the Lions one week and they beat the
well, I mean, they
Chiefs
they
and
kind of they really did sneak into the playoffs, right? I mean, they beat the Bears week 18, obviously, but Seahawks win that game against um who did the Seahawks play?
this
Cardinals.
week. Didn't they win? Did they not win?
I think the Cardinals beat them, but like if the
No, they
Seahawks won
won't.
that game,
Matt Prater missed a 50-yarder. What the Seahawks did was lost to Mason Rudolph. Um,
oh yeah, that's right.
that's
After
not
beating the Eagles, the Seahawks go
that's
and
being the
lose,
Eagles.
go and lose to Mason Rudolph.
But great to see them not here though.
I would have hated to see Geno Smith back in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, we didn't need that. We didn't need
I would
any
have
of
gotten
that.
paid if they did, but I would that would have been an eyesore.
Yeah, we didn't need that. So great to see him not here. But
Packers aren't
um,
a great alternative.
no,
I was kind of hoping for Josh Dobbs and the Vikings.
honestly, I think Seahawks would have been better than the Packers
Maybe.
because they already played them and it was a competitive game. It was Thursday night, which
Mhm.
I'm unfortunately not really able to watch those games. But
I also
um,
would have been okay with seeing the Saints
really, yeah, I have respect for
over the
them.
Packers. Yes.
I have respect for them because they did run up the score, and I just think that's always funny.
Mm.
Um, if I was Arthur
Arthur
Smith,
Smith
though, I would have
yelled
legitimately
at
thrown
Dennis Allen and then
hands.
got fired.
Yeah, I would have thrown hands though at that point. Like you can't just be like, "Oh, it's BS." Like, yeah, he knows, dude. Like, like go out with a
Well,
bang,
it
dude.
wasn't even Dennis Allen's call. Jameis Winston just went to the game and was like, "Huh."
Well, yeah, they they
That
like
was
they like
that.
got the mics in because they're like, "Oh, this is a fight. Let's see what happens." And he's like, "That's BS." And Dennis Allen's like, "Yeah, I know." So I think it was just yeah, I think it was just Jameis Winston, but he's like, "Oh, it was a team decision." I just hate
Okay,
the
Jameis.
unwritten. I hate the unwritten rule stuff, man. Just be fun. Be fun. Screw it, man. Like be fun. Like, dude, maybe don't lose as much. I don't know. Um,
Maybe just be a better coach.
yeah, so this game, also quick tidbit I want to say. What did Dak need to do to win MVP? Because obviously it's going to Lamar. But I feel like everything we like criticize Dak for, like he kind of answered
He
this year.
fixed it.
Yeah, and it's like, so what
He
was he
threw
supposed
because
to do better?
he threw what single digit interceptions this year, right? Or did he hit like 10 or 12? But I
I'll
mean,
double
he
check for you. Yeah, 9.
leads the league in passing touchdowns. which leads me to believe that his TD to interception ratio is also the best. If he only threw 9 interceptions, I mean, maybe if they had
Because
beaten the Dolphins, that would have locked it up for him. I don't know.
my
Maybe if they got the one.
things
Maybe if they got the 1 seed. I think it's just whichever better QB lands his team the 1 seed is
that's the
the
thing,
MVP,
because
and that's it.
look, he's not gonna win. I get that. I'm just kind of like, what's he missing? Like why is he not?
I think it might be because they dropped that game to the Dolphins and to the 49ers, and they're not the 1 seed.
Like, are you telling me, hey, if he was the 1 seed, he would have got it?
That's how the NFL works these days, buddy.
But like, if you take Lamar's rushing and throwing stats, they're not better than Dak's pure throwing stats. You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't make sense. You're right. Yeah, but I don't make the decision.
Because I look at him like he made CeeDee Lamb like top 5 receiver, right? He cut
Yep.
back on the turnovers. He had 4,500 yards, right? They had probably a tougher schedule than the Ravens. The Cowboys had some injuries, like Trayvon Diggs was out like immediately.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I don't know.
Just something to think about.
They got Darren Bland though.
It's just something to think about though. It's like was Lamar more valuable than Dak? I don't know. I mean, they have a Pro Bowl as their backup.
He is a Pro Bowler. That's right. Yeah.
No, I don't know. It's just something I was thinking about because it is kind
They're
of
both.
wild.
I
It's
mean,
like
they're both deserving.
they're definitely both
They both
deserving.
deserve it. Maybe.
This is someone who doesn't like Dak, right? And I'm saying this. I don't like Dak. I don't think he's that good, but he kind of shut everyone
He
up.
had a good year.
I can't, but
Yeah,
he's
I
not going
think
to win.
Cowboys will slap him. Um, Host probably the Lions divisional.
Um, that's what you think. We'll get
You
to
think
that.
Rams are gonna win?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think Cowboys comfortable 2-score lead. It's looking like 3 comfortable 2-score leads if you're talking to me.
Yeah.
I have Bills, Cowboys, Eagles winning. Who would have thought? So we'll go to my 3, the middle pack game. It's the first game. It's Browns Texans.
Yeah.
Um, this is weird for me because I feel like the Browns could legitimately make a run. Like legitimately make a run, but I'm hating everyone's on the Browns now. And they love the Joe Flacco story. It's the 4th quarterback. They have the coach of the year, which I don't think is a question. I think we all agree.
Yeah.
Stefanski's the coach of the year.
It pretty undoubtedly. If the Colts had won and gotten in the playoffs, I would have said Shane Steichen. But I think
Okay.
easily it's Stefanski now.
Yep. And I think everyone's like, oh, it's Houston. They're young. It's early. Blah, blah, blah. Cleveland's defense is amazing. I get all that, but I feel like I'm hearing so much Cleveland stuff. It makes me want to think the other team's going to win. Because I just watched CJ Stroud, and I'm like, he's a better quarterback than Flacco. He's a top 10 QB in my eyes.
Currently, yeah.
In the NFL, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen the clutch gene from him. He doesn't seem afraid of the moment. This team seems to really like each other. I think D'Amico Ryans is a great coach. There's nothing Houston has on their team that makes me go, that's why I don't think they'll win the playoff game. And they're at home. So I truly don't know who to go. I think I'm going to go Houston, though.
You think you're going to go Houston?
Yeah, believe it or not.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. CJ Stroud obviously has that
dog
clutch playmaking. He's got a couple game-winning drives already under his belt ability. Nico Collins is back which is huge. But I don't know, man. Playoff Joe.
Joe.
He obviously is very comfortable in that offense. their defense is amazing, and he's got a whole bunch of playoff experience. So I don't know. My running sort of philosophy on newer teams and faces in the playoffs is that I think you might have been the one like to expose this to me with you were actually when the Bucks slapped the shit out of the Eagles a few years ago. You need that sort of like heartbreaking loss in a
Yep.
big moment like that before you can actually like rise to the occasion and go somewhere. I think CJ Stroud is about to get that.
Yeah. No, definitely a good point using my own theory.
Are you happy I gave you credit?
I am, but the reason I think this could be different is I think he had that last year in college. I think he had that last year in college where he went bananas against this unstoppable Georgia team and they still lost.
I don't know if it's the same.
It might not be. It might not be.
But it's fun to run with, yeah, for sure.
It's fun to run.
I
Cool
know.
idea, bro.
Believe me, I know all about coming up with not coming up, I guess, because it's very legitimate, it's very valid. But like having those sort of like thoughts where you're like, oh well, you're kind of making up or drawing sort of inspiration and hypotheticals in your head. And
You know what I'm also bad with? I'll have an opinion, and then when I see so many people agree with it, I don't like the opinion anymore. It's like my worst like quality as someone who watches sports. A perfect example. You might have remember, I might have talked to you about this. When I was like, I don't know about Caleb Williams. When he was like guaranteed number one overall, this is Pat Mahomes. You need to tank for this guy. I was
yeah,
like, I don't know about him.
I can't believe at one
And
point the running like um consensus in the NFL in the world of sports was that if you are an NFL football team and you have the number one pick, you are taking Caleb Williams, and that's that.
yeah.
Now it's like he cries at the end of that game and everyone's off on
Well,
it.
yeah, now it's like he cried, he paints his nails, they
He didn't play in
lost
the
five
bowl
of his last
game.
six, blah, blah,
It's
blah. And it got me to the point where I switched my opinion on him. And
mhm.
I was like, which like I agree with all the stuff. I don't know about his personality, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, football
So
ability
you're saying
wise.
now you think he should be taken one overall because now everyone is kind of writing him off, or are you saying like you don't like that you are out on him because now everybody else is too?
I was skeptical. And I think people went way too hard in that skepticism. Like I've heard people be like, I wouldn't take him with a fourth round pick. And I'm like, that's like gotta be one of the dumbest sports opinions I've
I think
heard,
he'll
right?
definitely still be first round.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Top
I think he'll
10 for sure.
still be number
He'll
one
probably
or
be the
number
second or
two.
third QB taken off the board.
I think he'll still be number one.
But you
I've
think
said, I mean, Patriots are going to be in at three. If he
one overall, you
somehow,
think the Bears are taking him, or do you think he'll fall to like
I think the Bears trade it.
the Pats?
I think the Bears, if he fell to the Pats and they didn't take him, like
No,
emergency
that's what I'm saying.
pod,
Do you
I'm
think he's still
screaming.
taking one overall for sure, or do you think he's just the first QB
Yeah,
off the board?
I think a team will trade up to one to take him.
Who do you think?
Falcons.
Falcons?
That's honestly my
Hop off the
prediction.
Heineke train.
Dude,
Give him a shot after Desmond Ritter, and then
he's
see
part of
where
my
we're at.
QB carousel, man. It was a tough year for that one.
I wonder if maybe the Commanders will write off Sam Howell.
I think that'd be a
I don't
pretty
think
decent
so.
shot.
I think they'll bring someone new in, like Bill Belichick.
I mean, they got Bob Myers as their GM now.
I think no. I think they'll bring in someone new and let him ride out Sam Howell for another year. I don't know. Maybe not the Giants. Giants sticking with DJ. I mean, what would you be excited if the Pats did, or do you want them to draft like Marvin Harrison?
Got Caleb Williams?
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%.
like if they traded out to one and got Caleb Williams. What if they traded
Uh,
out to one and got like Jaden Daniels?
heavily, I lose it.
Like, would you be excited if they traded up to the one seed and drafted a quarterback, or would you be upset if they traded up and
I
drafted
don't
a
want
quarterback
them.
like any other quarterback other than Caleb Williams?
I don't want them to trade up to 1 because I think this is like a 2-year fix, right?
Mm,
So my thing is in rebuilding a team, this is personally how I would do it. Make sure everything's good before your quarterback, right? That's like what I would do.
yeah.
And I think if you're drafting a quarterback, you're putting him in a situation where the O line is a mess. It improved, but it's not great right now, right? And we have
Mm,
no weapons who can get any separation at all. And the coaching staff's kind of a wreck right now. Like there's problems
mm,
with it. If my ideal draft, personally as a Pats fan, is taking Harrison at 3
mm.
and hoping JJ McCarthy is available with our second pick. That is what I would want. I don't know if they're gonna do
You
that.
think even if he wins tonight, he will be?
I honestly don't think he'll be there in the second round. I think people are gonna see his arm strength and his ability to throw on the run in draft combines, and
Mm.
they're gonna be like, "Oh dang, he actually runs like a 4.5. I wasn't expecting him to be that fast." And then he's gonna fly up draft boards. I think all these QBs are. I think they're all incredible
I think
prospects.
Drake. Yeah, no, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Michael Penix. I don't even who else.
Jaden
Jane
Daniels, Bo
Daniels,
Nix,
Bo
JJ
Nix, even I was gonna
McCarthy.
say him, JD McCarthy. I think they're all gone, maybe like in the top 20.
Yeah, it could be draft night will be crazy because this draft is pretty loaded with
Yeah,
QBs and wideouts specifically.
yeah.
And
This
you
is
have
great.
two like blue chip tackles. Like you really do.
Yeah.
So it's going to be wild. I don't think there's as much defensive top tier talent, but there's a lot of depth in defensive players.
Mhm.
That's some brief draft stuff, which
What game were we talking about?
we were
Browns
talking
Texans.
about
That's right.
Texans Browns, and I think I'm kind of with you. And honestly, you got me with regardless of where you put Joe Flacco in QB rankings, in the playoffs he goes up like 10 spots.
I don't even know if like I don't know. I feel like if you're Joe Flacco, a lot of the pressure is not really on you as much. Um, I don't think they need to really rely on him to win them this game. I think their defense will take care of a lot of the business in terms of maybe picking off some deep shots or just getting a bunch of pressure on Stroud behind that banged up offensive line. I think it'll be low scoring for sure. Maybe like 21-17 Browns, something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. That Browns defense is so good.
But
And
I think Cleveland will go in there and upset them though, and then head off
I don't
to,
even know if it's up an upset to be honest. I know they're on the road,
well,
but I think
it's
everyone's picking them.
ranking wise.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, and then head off to either Buffalo um or Baltimore. Hopefully Buffalo, but we'll get there.
Yeah, so we'll go to the two game. This is the Peacock game.
Peacock,
So hope you
the
guys have a
Peacock game. Oh,
hope you guys have hope you guys have a Peacock subscription so you can watch this game. Otherwise, you're out of luck.
hope you have
And
a cock pee a big I mean a
yo, clip it.
peacock uh peacock subscription so you can watch cock. I mean, wait. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So
Peacock,
yeah.
come watch this game, this football game of the Miami
exclusively
Dolphins.
exclusively on my I mean Peacock. Okay. I unfortunately don't. So probably gonna have to drive to Ian's to watch it. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you have a Peacock subscription?
We have yeah, Maddie's parents gave us their login stuff.
Dang, bro, sweet set. I
You
unfortunately
got you got am I allowed to say like this
no,
the streaming
we're gonna fuck
sites
that. We
on
don't
like
want to plug
Spotify and
them.
stuff?
They haven't sponsored me, so we're not gonna no free plugs.
You got Stream East. You can delete that if you want. You got the sites.
You'll find a way. You'll find a way. Um, yeah, Dolphins Chiefs. Sorry for that little 2-minute tangent. Dolphins Chiefs, two teams that have been sucking recently. Ian, I'm gonna give you the floor because this is your team.
Yeah, I mean, not gonna lie, kind of a kind of a cock I'm viewing. No, it's you look back on the not the regular season's over, you look back on what the Dolphins could have done. That Titans game definitely hurts a whole lot more
Mm.
because they could be sitting pretty going into week 18 at
Yeah, you made history,
12 and
bro.
4 and already have the AFC East. But yeah, I mean you gotta take what you're given. I think lot of unforced errors that helped the Bills um, win that game last night, but also a lot of unforced errors of their own that they didn't capitalize on. Obviously, I think was it both interceptions that ended up being their scoring drives? I don't know. Um, but you hop out to a quick 7-0 lead on the opening kickoff, um, and then pick off Josh Allen in the end zone. Um, send the ball away, give it back to Josh Allen. I think they score on that next drive, or maybe not. Maybe he throws a second pick already. I don't know. But anyway, um, you look at a game like that where you have a lead that you're trying to hold on to, and you're Mike McDaniel, and you're trying to, call smart plays, stuff that's working, keep them uncomfortable, try and leave their defense out on the field, um, to give, Josh Allen obviously as little time to come and make big plays as you can. And just all night, if you're going to, try those cute like misdirections and pitch it off to Achan, obviously the Bills are going to catch on to those. Um, so the offense, and I feel like their offense is pretty one dimensional, as creative as McDaniel has been in past run games and stuff. It's been what works and what doesn't work really doesn't work, and I think a lot really didn't work um, last night. And then with the narrative being for the Dolphins that it was the whole season where they can't really hang with the top dogs. They beat the Cowboys week 16 to earn a playoff spot. But other than that, it's been really one-sided games against top contenders in the NFL. And through all that, you got to take a look at um, who's calling the plays and who's making the plays as well. So I love to obviously I love to with all my heart, but there are certain points in your career where you have to turn away from sort of relying on your coach to make the right call for you to take the snap and make something happen. And I think in these past 2, 3 even weeks, he just hasn't really been able to do that. He's sort of had the shoulders to lean on of McDaniel and Tyreek Hill and their defense sort of bailing him out. Obviously, there's a lot of like leverages that can be at play here because this is his first full season starting every game. The first 2 years he was there, Flores was still the coach, and he took him out a few games. He wasn't doing too hot, whatever. Last year he had the concussions and all that. He didn't play in the playoffs. But this is his first year starting every game, finishing every game. So we haven't really been exposed to like how he sort of manages games throughout a full season like that yet. So I mean, obviously, I'm not trying to make sort of excuses or anything like that. There's just a lot of what ifs, a lot of what as fans we can sort of come up with these situations and circumstances and think maybe that's what it is, and it could be that's what it is. He hasn't shown us what he can do in the playoffs yet. He could go to Kansas City and shock the world and rise to the occasion. But just from what we've seen in this season and last, with a couple asterisks that are there, it's tough to point a finger at him. But at some point, you're in your 4th year. You're probably gonna get paid next season because in no way McDaniel's gonna let him walk. You gotta take some accountability, which he does a lot. You gotta and I'm not trying to just pin this loss only on Tua. there are a lot of fingers to point at McDaniel's play calling.
Punt return touchdown.
Yeah, that hurt. Deontay Hardy taking a
That
96
gave
yards
him
to
some
get that
money. I don't know if you saw
extra
that.
money. That definitely hurt a lot. But it's just, you have such high expectations with an explosive offense such as that. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle obviously sidelined. Raheem Mostert out for that game, but you still got Devon Achane. He had that first touchdown. He had a couple of explosive plays as well. But and that's another sort of situation you can point a finger at that might have heated them from winning that game is how injured they are right now. Xavier Howard didn't play. You had Eli Apple trying to cover Gabe Davis, Khalil Shakir, Stephon Diggs even at some point, and he is just awful. That toe tap touchdown to Trent Sherfield, their first touchdown, I was yelling at the TV. But I guess to sum that all up, because I feel like I've been talking for like half an hour, is at some point something you gotta just I guess bite the bullet and just like whether it's Tua, whether it's McDaniel, whether it's Fangio's, defensive scheme as confusing as it is, you got to pinpoint something and you got to fix it or change it. If you really want to shake this narrative that you can't actually do anything, that the Bills are going to win the AFC East every year, they're going to be first round exits, even if you make the playoffs, you gotta locate whatever is happening. And I think last night, as much as it hurts to say, a lot of that blame goes on Tua.
Well, maybe it'll be good to hear my perspective. maybe I can cheer you up a bit by what I think. I remember last year, I feel like a similar situation where the Dolphins, yeah, they're going to get in the playoffs, but Tua's out. I think Teddy B was out too. It's Skylar Thompson. They're going to go into
started that game in Buffalo,
Buffalo
yep.
and get absolutely destroyed. And I think we all agree if they had Tua, they win that game. Right.
That's
And
what I was saying.
feeling a similar thing where it's like Miami's playing horrendous. They're gonna go into Kansas
And
City, the
they
defending
kind of back their
champs.
way into the playoffs again. Like even though they had their playoff spot clinched since week 16, it felt like they kind of just like felt like they stumbled in.
The Chiefs, yeah. Like I think people are
No, the
only
Dolphins.
oh the
Dolphins, I mean.
Dolphins.
Yeah.
Well, my thought is I think the Chiefs also have had a rough go at it, but everyone's focusing on the Dolphins aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my opinion right now, and I'm like, look, they played bad. I agree, but you're looking at the season almost unscathed, right? Bradley Chubb out for the year. I think that's your one big loss, right? But Ramsey's back. Still gonna have Holland. Still have Phillips. Like you still have your guys, and Waddle's gonna be healthy for the game. So you're gonna have Hill,
Phillips is
Waddle.
gone.
Phillips is gone too. Do you get hurt mid-year?
Phillips tore his ACL Black Friday. Yeah.
Oh, that's stupid. Uh,
Yeah.
um, all right, well, that's tough. But regardless,
Yeah,
I think
that team is
unlucky. Yeah, but I think
yeah. Go ahead.
you got like Tua Hill, Waddle, A Chain. Like I think you have plenty of weapons to do your thing. Ultimately, to me, it's a mental thing because even like these games where they do play the tough opponents, whether it's home or road, I don't feel like, with the exception of the Bills this year, not really getting swamped, like blown out. Usually it's something you do that like ruins it. Playoffs is just a different atmosphere. I forgot the
Mm-hmm.
Ravens, my bad. Uh that was a tough one. that was a tough one. Um
But yeah, this might be loser talk coming out of me, but um, and this definitely has some recency bias because obviously they just lost last night. But looking at it big picture, if this is to be their two playoff scenarios wherein they win last night and they have to play Buffalo again, or they lose and they go play the Chiefs, I almost would rather them go play the Chiefs.
Oh yeah.
Just based on like how those two squads are looking right now.
Yeah, the Chiefs look terrible, and like they've
So
already
I
seen
think
them.
even if they had managed to squeak by that game, whether it be from they drive down the field and score last second touchdown and they go for two and win it like that, or they go into overtime and somehow hold the Bills offense. Um, I would the Bills would not lose a second game in Hard Rock after that. There's no way.
Yeah, no
So
shot.
I think you had that fluke game, and that I think the script plays out. Not that the NFL is scripted, but I think the game script plays out better for the Dolphins going to Kansas City now because they had that fluke game with the Chiefs in Germany, and now they're in Arrowhead. Tyreek's first game back. Um, it'll be cold, so maybe they'll be able to put that narrative to sleep. But that's also another thing where you have to sort of be like, oh, I don't know, because the Dolphins suck in the cold. So it's
To
but of
me,
those two instances, I would almost rather them go play Kansas City with just how they have been looking, in the past few weeks, and just
the game,
if I really am hoping for them to win a playoff game, that's who I'd rather they play, regardless of location.
yeah, to me, I think the game comes down to locker room, and I think the Chiefs locker room's done. Personally, I think
Dumb
Mahomes
or done?
done. Like,
Done.
I just don't think they like each other. I don't think it's gonna work. Simply, like, I just think Mahomes is so sick of all the drops and no one getting open. He's
Mm-hmm.
getting beyond frustrated. Like, which I think partially goes on him. Like, I don't know if he's a great leader if things are working. I don't know how he is
When things are
with
not
when
working,
things are not working. Like
when things aren't working, he's
he is
throwing his helmet
visibly,
on the sidelines, yelling at the rest. Like it's not a great look.
yes, he's visibly frustrated, and
But I mean,
I
how can you not, right? I mean, they brought in Kadarius Toney. He had a great Super Bowl. He had a great, punt return, touchdown catch, all of that. And it's if I'm Patrick Mahomes, I understand that he's very frustrated, um, because you're doing literally everything you can do, um, and the just like the it's not that they might have been contested catches or like maybe just like thrown a little bit behind it or something, like anything like that. Like you are putting the ball where it needs to be and they're just not catching it. I can understand like that's very, very, very frustrating in terms of like
agree.
any sort of like incentives you might be looking for in terms of like passing yards or passing touchdowns or anything like that. Not that he needs them because he makes a fucking billion a year.
Yeah.
Um, but point being, I get it, but it really is like when you're getting fined by the NFL for yelling at the refs and for when you're yelling at your receivers on the sideline and all that, you're yelling at your O line. I mean, there's got to be some sort of self control there.
Yeah, my thing's this, and this is something I've learned through like because I coach a team on the side. So like what I've learned is a lot of sports
You're
is
coaching kids.
yeah, uh,
You coaching
uh,
basketball?
yeah, I coach basketball, 11th and 12th graders, but a lot of sports in general is the mental aspect. It truly is. It's having belief in your teammates, in the other coaches, things like that. If you don't have that, it becomes A, not fun, and B, no one's going to perform where they should. I
Mm-hmm.
can't imagine Kadarius Toney is playing these games thinking, I'm going to catch this. I think he's thinking, oh God, what is Pat going to do if I drop this? Things like that. And that just doesn't make Kadarius Toney or Valdez Scantling or any of these guys play to their full potential. And I'm not even saying that potential is high,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm saying they can't play at their best
With that sort of like mindset,
when your
like
leader is acting like this. I just don't think so. And with the Dolphins, yes, they've had plenty of tough losses, you know, and really it's if they are able to come together and be like, look,
they
the
are able
past
to
is
come together as one.
it's like an anime moment. No, but like if they're able to just say the past is the past, we can only control now. Let's shut up all these narratives. KC is a extremely beatable team. We played terrible in Germany and we only lost by a touchdown, right?
Mhm.
They'll win this game. And I don't know who the guy to step up and say all this stuff is. Like, I don't know if who is that guy. You would probably know more than me. I know Jalen Ramsey's that guy, I feel like.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
so, like, I just think someone's gonna step up in the locker room and they'll figure it out and they'll get it done. That's my thought. And I don't Mike McDaniel to me wasn't a guy based on last year's playoff performance where he's scared of the moment. He
I
seems like a
think they
guy that guys rally around.
because while the Chiefs offense obviously hasn't been playing that great, their defense, to say that they're bailing them out, I think is an understatement. I think their defense is playing some of the best ball in the league right now.
Yep.
Um, so I want to say they'll probably have to pound the rock. Um, but I think Tyreek Hill will be hungry, obviously, but he's dropping balls of his own. It was called. I don't know if you saw the play. It was called pass interference on their last drive, but he cut over the middle and he was gone.
Yep.
But I don't know. I don't remember who it might have been. It might have been Taron Jackson. He sort of like snatched at him a little bit. It was called a defense pass interference. He dropped the ball, but that that should have been caught, and it was a touchdown. And then
Yep.
who knows? But regardless from that one play, he had that awful drop last week against the Ravens that ultimately ended the game. The game was over when he dropped that touchdown pass. Um, so he's got he's got some responsibility to tend to, some accountability to take on his own. And I think, yeah, I don't know. I think they could if they. I don't want to say they will win if everything goes right for them because that's not how they're gonna make a run. Because obviously, if everything does roll your way and you beat the Chiefs, you're not gonna win with that mindset going to Baltimore. Um, so I think they are definitely the more like humble, I guess, focused maybe team in
I
that
think they're ready
matchup.
to shock people. That's just what I think. I think everyone's picking KC, and I watched KC all this year, and it reminded me way too much of Tom Brady's last year in New England. Way too much. Where,
Mm-hmm.
um,
So what you're saying is this
it's
is Patrick Mahomes last year in
no, I'm
Kansas
not saying it's
City.
last year, but I'm saying the way the Patriots season went in Brady's last year, it's eerily similar here, where there's like a lot of stuff that it's just like Brady can't do anything to fix this.
Yeah,
Right? Like wide receivers aren't getting open, wide receivers aren't catching passes, the run game isn't fantastic, right? Stuff like that. And then, we could have got the 1 seed thanks to Ryan Fitzpatrick. We didn't. We had to play in the first round. It was like, oh, no problem. We'll just beat the Titans. And then Derrick Henry destroys us.
mm-hmm.
Right. This whole season, watching the Chiefs, especially in that Raiders game, I was like, this is eerily similar to Brady's last year, how the season kind of went. And I just don't, I can't even imagine them winning. I truly can't. I'm picking Dolphins. I think uh they'll win by like a score, a touchdown. I don't know if it'll come towards the end of the game or if they'll just be up a score or whatever, but I have the Dolphins in this one.
Yeah.
And
I
that's not just because you're here.
I think they I think they I think they do have a good shot. I do like this. Like I said, I do like this matchup more than if they were to host Buffalo again. Um, yeah, I think they are capable. I think if, and this is what I mean when I say like everything has to go right, is that they Mike McDaniel just needs to call smart plays. He needs to do what works. He needs to he needs to call plays that will open up the middle of the field, whether that be to Hill or to Waddle if he plays, or to Durham Smythe. Um, pound the rock, get to the edge if you're Moser or Achan because that offensive line has been playing well, but nothing really works up the middle.
Mhm.
especially against Chris Jones.
Yeah, no, he's pretty
But
good at football.
I don't want to keep rambling about them. I think they could win.
They're gonna win.
But
Book it. Throw in a parlay. Throw
but
all my picks in this
Tua
parlay. Big
has
money.
also just kind of I don't know. I think he's kind of in his own. I think he's kind of in his own head right now. Um, I think
You're very doomer right now.
the Titans loss did a number on him, and that Jets game immediately following obviously was nice because they were without Hill. But I don't know, the offense as a whole, I feel like just really hasn't looked the same since they beat the Commanders.
I don't know if it
Where they
needs
were
to.
easily putting up, 30, 40 points a game.
I don't know if they need to do that. I think if they get
Right, but I
21,
mean,
they get the dub.
like I just mean that as in like an offense that can take over the game, that can score points.
For sure, for
Um,
sure.
I mean, you put up 22, 19, and then 14. Like that's offensive performances like that aren't gonna you're not gonna go anywhere. I think they need to put up at least I think they need to put up at least 24, 27 to beat the Chiefs. Just because Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey is Travis Kelsey. Dolphins are not great at covering tight ends.
We've been saying this Mahomes is Mahomes, Kels is Kels for a while. It hasn't been
Well, okay,
going
maybe that doesn't
well.
span quite as across the league anymore, but I think
Like
the Dolphins, their offense is pretty predictable. I think Fangio's defensive scheme uh, definitely is not working up to its fullest potential as of the past like 3 weeks because people have been dropping like flies. So I think this game will be very heavily dependent on how well Tua goes out and performs under pressure and in the cold and with what he has around him still. Um, and just not playing towards like leaning on the defense to get you the ball back or like um, heavily relying on only your first read.
mhm.
But I
Yeah,
think they have a shot.
for sure. We'll see. So we'll get to the last game, Sunday night.
This is your number one. This
Lions,
last game,
last game. One
pure
I'm
art,
most excited for. Lions, Rams. My heart's with the Lions.
pure art of a game.
My
Stafford,
heart
Goff.
is with the
I mean, how better
Lions.
could you draw it up?
Yeah, I mean, look, everyone knows the history. Jared Goff was on the Rams. He brought him to the Super Bowl. McVay says not enough. You trade him to get Stafford. Stafford wins the Super Bowl with the Rams. Stafford, lifelong Lions quarterback till that trade. And this trade has made him solidified as a Hall of Famer. To me, not a debate. Some people might debate it.
Oh, of course not.
I
Of
say
course
check the
not.
numbers, right? And he's got the Super Bowl. He's got the Super Bowl MVP as a game winning drive in the Super Bowl where he only threw the Cooper Cup, but it worked.
Well, yeah,
Um,
it solidified him as a Hall of Famer, and it
yeah,
solidified Cooper Cup as a Hall of Famer.
probably, honestly. Um, so it's going to be interesting. I don't know what the atmosphere is going to be like. I hope Detroit, like, kind of boos Stafford. I hope they don't like praise him. Not saying like they don't like him, just like he's the enemy tonight. I know you love
Yeah,
him, but he's the enemy tonight, right?
yeah.
I don't want like a tribute or anything like that. Like it's playoff football. It's the first time you got in there in
And
three
that's why,
decades, pretty
and
much.
that's also a reason why I'm just like super excited about the playoffs this year, is because you could have like, you got Goff and Stafford. Stafford obviously going back to Detroit. You got, if the Browns beat the Texans, it's a very good chance that he could be going into Baltimore
Yeah,
and
that'd be
playing against the
fucking
Ravens.
wild.
I'm trying to think if there's any
Well,
else.
even that matchup itself, it's
But
young versus old. Like it's the rookie versus like the old vet. How is he still in the league?
yeah,
You got
I mean, it
Tyreek
should be.
Hill going to KC.
Yeah,
Um,
but yeah, back to Lions Rams. I think it definitely should be an awesome game. I think they slotted it in the right time.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
I don't know. I don't know who's going to win that game.
I believe the Rams are going to win. And to me, it comes down to I think Stafford is criminally underrated. He
I
is,
also lean more towards the Rams. Yeah.
he's, this is the new greatest show on turf. This is what I said middle of the season. Like Kyron Williams is like a top four back right now. You have Puka and Cooper Cup, and you have decent weapons around that with like Tutu Atwell and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they're coached by one of the best, or they're coached by one of the best coaches in the league, in McVay.
Hmm.
Like I feel like you look at every single part of this game that really matters in the playoffs. I'm talking your QB really matters. Advantage Rams, right?
Yeah.
Your coaching really matters. That's also advantage Rams,
Yeah.
right? And even if you want to go, oh, well, defense, like that's kind of a toss up. They both don't have great defenses. So at that point, I think you lean more towards the coaches. I know
Right.
Aiden Hutchinson has been ridiculous on an absolute tear recently, but overall, that Lions defense isn't great.
Right.
And the Rams lately just score you can guarantee like 30 plus points from them. So
I
I
feel
think
like
Stafford's going to
because
be
obviously the Lions sort of
unreal.
turned it up a notch in terms of like run defense through the latter half of the season. Like they got pretty good at keeping guys in check. But I feel like just and it's not even that the Rams hand the ball off to Kyron Williams a whole bunch. I feel like with just how they handle him in that system, he like it's inevitable. He's gonna
Yep.
score. He's gonna put up. He's probably gonna put up 100 yards. He's gonna catch passes. He's gonna do like he is it's insane that both him and Puka Nakua, who can catch literally anything. Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua are the only two guys you need because they've
Yeah.
got to throw. You got to throw a cornerback and then also like a nickel guy or maybe even like a linebacker on both of them. And still, like they're gonna, they can. But back to my point, like it's just how McVay sort of handles that offense and operates. It's almost like you can't stop Kyron Williams.
I just
Um,
think giving McVay a Hall of Fame quarterback in Stafford, two dynamite wideouts in Cup and Puka who can play the slot, who can play outside, can do so many things, and then you combine it with, oh, and it's the Lions secondary. That's just a nightmare. Like, and
yeah,
this is Dan Campbell's first playoff game. And
yep.
honestly, we're gonna run it back to the take you said earlier. Like, Lions haven't been in the playoffs a long time, right? I think everyone in Detroit's rallying around this team. First time they won division in 30 years. They're in the playoffs. Everyone's gonna be hyped. Yes,
I think they'll continue to win the North and be the best team in the North for a bit.
yes, but for now, it doesn't it feel a little early? Like, do you really
You
think?
gotta get that sudden strike of adversity.
Do we think Jared Goff's the guy? They also just lost Laporta, did they not?
And this is where I start like scratching my head is because we talk so highly of the Rams and like how dangerous they are and how skilled they are on offense and Aaron Donald and what have you and they're sitting at the sixth seed and you're scratching your head like why are they not better? Why
Well,
aren't they?
Stafford was out a lot. I mean, that's really
Yeah,
it.
that's
He
yeah.
was out a lot of
I
games.
guess
But
that's
another thing is, I mean, Laporta, who arguably was the best tight end in the league this year, he's probably not
yeah.
playing. You know what I'm
No,
saying? Like, so, um, and call me crazy. I think Sean McVay knows how to coach against Jared Goff. I don't know
probably
why I think that, but I do. And
kind of a hunch.
Dan
Let me go
Campbell
ahead and say
just
that Dan Campbell probably doesn't have a very great game planning at Stafford.
no, like he has his hands full. McVay kind of, it seems like, has all the answers for this Lions team. I think he knows exactly what he needs to do and how to win because he's been doing this for much longer than Dan Campbell, doing it at the biggest level. He's such a
Mhm.
great coach, and I feel like he's almost somehow underrated as a coach. Like I hear a lot of hate on Sean McVay as the coach. He's an incredible coach,
Top
and
five.
there's a lot of guys on his Lions team that I think he knows how to pick apart. And I think
Yeah.
it's like you think he's not gonna have a game plan on how to contain Aiden Hutchinson when Stafford's dropping back. Like
Yeah.
Uh, I'm not saying it's a blowout, but I could see it being like Rams go up 2 scores like quickly, and then it's just kind of a fight back and forth, but the lead doesn't really go anywhere.
Okay.
So I think like Rams win comfortably. I think they get out ahead pretty early. Lions fans are shocked, and then they fight and fight and fight, but it just doesn't really matter. Like
Sort of
anytime
like
the
a
Rams need a big third down, they get it, right? Or anytime
yeah,
the Lions like close it to a 1 score game, the Rams come back and score. So, some like
yeah,
that. You know those types of games. Um, but
yeah.
that's
You
what I'm
start
thinking.
21-7, and then like it's 21-14, and then 28-14, and then maybe 35-14, and then 35-21, and then
Yeah.
30. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, something like that, where it's like, yeah, as a Lions fan, you're hoping and you keep getting glimpses and faith, and then it's just like McVay and Stafford have an answer though.
Hmm.
But it's gonna be a
Yeah,
great game.
I think gotta lean more towards the Rams.
Yeah,
Um, just because their offense is fully healthy. McVay obviously has a game plan set up, both offensively and defensively. Um, yeah, I just don't think. I think that Rams offense to Lions defense is Rams offensive to Lions defensive matchup is going to be a nightmare um, for Dan Campbell and the Lions. I think they'll probably get a little punch in the gut early, but then things will probably slow down.
yeah,
Um, maybe like a high scoring first quarter, and then sort of settles down into halftime, and then maybe most of the third quarter. But I think definitely, the Rams win by at least a score.
yeah. Well, that about wraps it up, unless you have something else.
Celtics just dropped that game. I just saw the final score.
Wait, they lose
Yeah,
with Halburn going out? That's crazy.
I saw that. That looked
That's
terrible.
that's not good. Honestly, though, like I'm not gonna hold them, even though
That was at home too, right? Was that in the Garden?
I think it was
So that's
Jalen had 40. Um, I'm really not gonna fault them though. They're now 28-8. Like,
yeah.
what are you doing?
Oh no! Oh
Oh
no!
no.
Yeah,
Um,
but yeah. I'm just counting the days to the weekend. I
yeah, it's gonna be exciting for sure.
I don't even
But
know if I don't even know if I'll watch. I don't even know if I'll watch the Browns Texans game. I don't know if I'll be able to sit through it. I gotta be like, I don't
dive
know.
in,
I'm just gonna be
boot up
on
Peacock.
edge, on edge all day, and then I'm just gonna be watching the game, and I'm just gonna be soaking it in. Hopefully, it's good, and
They'll pull
then
it out.
we'll go from
Trust
there.
me, they'll pull it out on Peacock. Um,
Who knows? Maybe the Steelers will just absolutely shock the Bills.
yeah, absolutely no chance. All right,
Time
I think we'll have it on there.
to shock the world on
Dude,
Peacock,
on Peacock,
on my
dude.
cock, on
Mason Rudolph watched this. Like, I'm gonna do it, guys. I promise.
E.
Well,
I love me.
well, Ian, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, man.
We're
Always
gonna,
happy to hop on.
yeah, we're gonna call it there. See you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.